Hi everyone, we are live. This is Bhavani from Mind Body Spirit here to chat with our wonderful presenters who are hosting workshops with us at the festival in London at the end of May this year. Today I'm joined by the wonderful Ben Aldridge, who is hosting a workshop. Hi Ben, how's it going?
Hello. Yeah, very good. Very
It's
excited
so,
about this workshop. It's going to be a lot of fun.
it's so nice to have you with us at of course, here chatting to us, but of joining us in London at the festival as well. Tell us everything about your workshop.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So, the workshop I'm hosting is called The Art of Leaving Your Comfort Zone. And essentially, this is going to be a very practical way to encourage people to step outside of their comfort zone. And it's not going to be a really intense workshop, so I don't want people to get worried that they're going to turn up and we're going to do loads of weird stuff. Like it's more a creative space to kind of figure out what you could be doing to step outside of your comfort zone. So we've got loads of different categories that we're going to explore, and
Mm.
then some philosophy to help you when you inevitably face the difficulty of stepping outside of your comfort zone, because it is hard when you do something that's unfamiliar. It can be uncomfortable, and
Yeah.
I think arming yourself with ideas, and that's where the philosophy comes in, can make a huge difference and can really help when you're stepping out into the unknown. So it's going to be a lot of fun, very practical.
I think, yeah, I mean, it's no secret. Everyone knows that I'm a big fan of your work and your books and what you've shared with us and our community in the past. And I think one of the main questions that people might have is over the last few years that we've had where things are constantly changing, COVID almost feels like old news compared to all the things that we're constantly being bombarded with, with current affairs all over the world, wherever we're from. What is the necessity for us to practice or to even have a workshop where we look at the art of leaving our comfort zone when we're challenged by life so much to do that anyway?
Yeah, well, it's a great question. And I think the reason to deliberately seek out discomfort is to
Mm,
prepare for all of the stuff that happens in the world, the chaos of
mm,
modern living. It's very
mm,
difficult to just kind of exist. There's a lot of stuff happening, and life can be hard. It can be very
mm,
difficult in
mm,
many different ways. You're going to get curveballs thrown at you. There's going to be things happening that you don't want to happen. So I personally believe that by training and by deliberately seeking out a bit of discomfort, you learn how to manage that and you become better equipped to deal the discomfort, well, to deal with the discomfort that you will encounter naturally in life. So
yeah.
I've personally, experienced a lot of growth myself from doing this, and it's really helped me when I've had to, face the curveballs that life has thrown at me. So I find that this concept can be incredibly empowering.
Yeah. So is it something that when we come to this workshop and we go through this creative process with you and, face, I'm sure there will be challenges during your workshop as well. And, weird and wonderful challenges that you'll get people to do, which perhaps you can share about as well. Is
Mm-hmm.
this something that we're going to be equipped with to practice in daily life to make us more resilient, for the future?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So it's kind of looking at how you can push yourself in different ways, and this is a brilliant way to build resilience,
Mm,
because resilience is the ability to handle setbacks and
mm,
difficulty. And I think the way that we grow that is by doing all these different challenges and different things and pushing ourselves in different directions, maybe things that we wouldn't have naturally thought of as challenging. So
mm,
that's really the purpose of this, to start, you get your brain thinking about all these things that you could do. When you think of a comfort zone, a lot of people just think, oh, maybe I'll sign up for a race or I'll do something physical. But there's so much more to how we can push ourselves out of our comfort zones. And that's really the purpose of it, to look at all these different areas, like embarrassing yourself and kind of deliberately facing discomfort. And we've got a whole bit on cold showers and saunas. And there's loads of stuff that we can do. But it's also looking at work and home life and kind of everything, really.
gosh, I mean, I think oh, excuse me, that's my emails. I think when it comes to finding ways to come out of our comfort zone, like you already touched on there, there's such a breadth because, as you said, a lot of people will say, I want to climb a mountain or I want to do a marathon or something big like that. But I suppose there are lots of many ways that we can begin to do that. Do you have anything now that you could share with our community that they could already begin to almost like as in preparation for the workshop with you, that they might be able to begin to see the practice of that?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, the thing is with all of this, like, there's a huge range. You could do something very, very challenging, but I find that you have to work up to that. So maybe, the first challenge that you decide to commit to might not be running an ultra marathon. It might be something a bit smaller. And I think then we can build momentum. Maybe it will be. Maybe you're just going to, go for the skydiving or whatever. But personally, I find that, you build up confidence with small things. And I always say this because I think it's such a instantly challenging thing to have to do. I always recommend the cold shower because it is the thing that pretty much everyone has access to that. They can whack the cold water on and just get into it, and you're going to feel uncomfortable. And
Yeah.
it's all about mind over matter. And I think that's a very simple way of connecting to this bigger concept of stepping outside of your comfort zone. And obviously in the workshop, we'll talk about so many different ideas and so many different practical daily things you can do, as well as kind of locking in bigger challenges and bigger goals, which it all kind of comes together. So we can have a lot of fun with that.
How has putting into practice these sorts of things in your daily life, how has that impacted your life on a spiritual level? Beyond, how the day-to-day activities and the things that we do, how is that impacting you and your state of mind on a spiritual daily level?
Well, I think in terms of where I was before I started deliberately seeking out discomfort compared to where I am now, I'm a very, very different place. I mean, all of this, my whole writing career and speaking career came off the back of my experience with terrible anxiety. And I started having really bad panic attacks. And the way that I managed that was through this kind of deliberate discomfort and challenging myself and building confidence that way. Very, very kind of small kind of stepping stones that eventually helped me to build my confidence back up. And I think compared to before, I would say my life was quite black and white, and I was very, very fearful of everything. And I think doing this constant challenge kind of ethos and pushing myself in all these different ways has built my confidence and my trust in myself. And I don't live with that level of fear, and that anxiety is completely changed. So that just means that I'm operating in a different place to where I was. I was in very, dark mental space, whereas now I feel very open and excited about the world and life. So I think we can use that in a very profound way.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I think people that are getting, used to hearing me on the lives and speaking to our various presenters, that I do think that lightness and that joyfulness that can come through whatever someone's spiritual practice may look like, whatever it is, like, as long as it's bringing that lightness into daily life, I think it's an incredible skill to add. People might not know about the sort of different cultures and the philosophies that you do draw upon for the work that you do. So, I know that you are a fan of Stoicism and Buddhism. Can you talk a little bit about that so that people know, how much depth there is to what's happening here?
Yeah, so really this whole idea of stepping outside of your comfort zone kind of comes from the Stoics and the ancient Greek Stoics. Now, obviously, the other people were doing this, but this is how I got into it. This is how I connected to this idea, because the Stoics were brilliant. They would deliberately step outside of their comfort zone as a way to build resilience. And they did crazy stuff. They slept on the floor deliberately because it was hard, and they had cold exposure or heat exposure, and they would fast from food and water. They would wear embarrassing clothes to go out and practice feeling embarrassed. So this kind of idea of resilience training was very much a Stoic concept. And I connected to that. And that's how I got into Stoic philosophy and just fell in love with it. And then the rest of the philosophy kind of poured in afterwards. And I haven't looked back since. So I'm very into Stoic philosophy. I've written a book about Stoicism, actually. But there are other philosophies as well. Buddhism I'm very interested in, Zen Buddhism in particular, but also modern psychology and lots of kind of modern thinkers as well. So there's a real mix, and that's the philosophy and the idea base that I'll be drawing on when I give people tools to handle dealing with the unknown and uncertainty.
So Ben, how can people best prepare to get the most out of this workshop with you?
So I think all people really need to do is turn up with an open mind and an attitude of I'm going to give this a go. Because
Yeah.
what I will do, you will leave the workshop and I'll give you a very specific set of things to do that will be customized for you, and we'll kind of
Okay.
work through that in the workshop. And there's a time frame. So kind of over the coming months after the workshop, if you commit to it, you will end up in a very different place, and you will have had some amazing experiences that will will be very interesting for you, and it will be great stories. And I think
Yeah.
that's the that's the key, really. If people commit to it and really try all these different things out, and I think they can have some, yes, very profound change off the back of that.
I think that I think there are two things that people maybe hadn't thought about when it comes to attending this workshop, that they get their own personalized list of things that they can try out, but also that they get really great stories for dinner parties.
Well,
I
that's
think
it.
everyone.
If you do things that challenge you, if you get out there and you try all these different things, you don't have to, you don't have to take it to the extreme. You don't have to become a professional of whatever it is, but going and trying new things, maybe try, for instance, stand-up paddleboarding. Maybe you've never done it before. Maybe
Mm,
going and doing that feels a little uncomfortable, but you've done it once. And that as an
mm,
experience has so much value if you take
mm.
lessons from it and you extract from it. But obviously that's just one example. I mean, there's
Yeah.
bazillions that we can think of.
Yeah, and also the fact that this workshop, is it for a specific age range of people, or is it everyone? Because I can imagine that there might be people who are, slightly from the older part of our community who are like, oh, I've done enough of coming out of my comfort zone. I think I'll leave this one to the younger ones. What do you say to them?
I say that it's for everyone, because I think age it doesn't really matter. It's more of a mindset thing. I think there can be people who are very young, who are very set and locked in their
Mm,
ways, and actually
mm,
looking at things that you can do to break up the routine a little bit is very important. And I think that also happens with people who are slightly older as well. We all get locked into our daily routines and the way that we think and everything. So trying to
mm.
shake things up a bit can bring a lot of color and excitement into our lives. And I think
Yeah,
that's something that can be very fun and helpful.
yeah. All right. Well, when can people join you? Tell us all about when your workshop is, and yes, share the information.
So Friday the 26th of May, London Kensington Olympia,
Mhm.
and I'm speaking on the main stage about my sort of experience of becoming a writer. But then the workshop afterwards is the art of leaving your comfort zone, which is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So
Amazing. So you guys can see, if you're joining us, you can see the link that's just under us now that you can click through to join Ben at his workshop. And we'll also make sure that there's a link in bio so that you can all join. So for anyone that's joined us live or that's joining in your own time to catch up with this, Ben, a huge thank you to you for taking the time to chat to us and to chat to our community about your workshop. We can't wait to host you in May.
thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing everyone there.
We'll see you then.